Now let's review some talking points when selling EV chargers with a solar PV system. Many homeowners who are shopping for solar also have an electric vehicle or plan to get one soon, especially with the unpredictable price of gas at the pump lately. As a salesperson, being able to effectively convey the benefits of powering an electric vehicle with solar power will go a long way toward closing a deal. There are a few reasons why EVs and solar power are a natural fit. For solar PV system owners or soon-to-be owners, the idea that the power produced by the solar system on a home can directly charge an EV has a strong appeal. If a car is charged during the peak production hours of the solar PV system, it's likely that most of the electrons charging the EV battery are coming straight from their solar panels. Then there is simply the financial benefit of using solar power instead of gas. The cost of solar-generated electricity is only about 1/7 the cost of gas per mile driven by a typical EV or gas-powered car. A solar salesperson who understands how solar power and electric vehicles complement each other and how to size solar to accommodate EV charging will have a leg up on their competitors. It's common for solar or EV owners to have time of use rates from their utility, which means that the cost of electricity is higher during certain times of the day. The higher cost time of the day is called the peak period, and the lower cost time of the day is the off-peak period. Peak prices are often more than double the price of off-peak. Since the peak period is normally late afternoon and early evening, an unaware homeowner may plug their car in upon returning from work at 6 p.m. and charge their car with the highest priced electricity during that peak period. The solution is simple. Nearly all EVs can be programmed to only charge during certain time periods, either with the app for the car or with the touchscreen inside the car. Programming the car to only charge during the off-peak period will keep car charging costs as low as possible. There's a lot of misinformation out there about the cost to power an EV compared to a gas car. Here is a simple comparison of 3 scenarios with the assumptions and their sources. First, we have solar-generated electricity. While the upfront cost of solar may seem high to a homeowner, when compared to the cost of buying energy from the electric utility for 25 years, solar really is a bargain. If you consider how much energy the solar PV system will produce over its 25-plus year life expectancy, the price to fully charge an EV with a 300-mile range in 2021 is only $5. That's less than 2 cents per mile. Compare that to the cost of charging your car from utility power if you didn't have solar installed. The cost is more than double at about $11. Please note that this is based on the national average of 12 cents per kilowatt hour, which is quite low for most markets where solar is popular. For example, in California, the average cost of electricity is more than double the national average. Now let's compare the cost of powering an EV to a typical gas-powered car. The cost to fill an equivalent size gas tank with a 300-mile range is $37. That's more than 7 times the price of solar-generated energy. And that's based on the price of gas in 2021. And by investing in solar, the owner is essentially locking in their energy prices by prepaying for the energy the system will produce over 25-plus years. The alternative? Keep driving your gas-powered car and be vulnerable to the highly volatile cost of fossil fuel. So why should you offer EV charging with solar? Because it adds real value. For these reasons, it's usually less expensive and more convenient for the customer to get an EV charger along with their solar PV system. There's at least one less truck roll required, less permitting administration, and you can roll the cost of the EV charger into project financing to minimize upfront costs. Therefore, you should do discovery on EV plans with every customer you speak to. After months of market research on what works and what doesn't work for our installation partners across the country, we believe we've found the best way to introduce EV charging. Here we have 3 questions you should ask every solar customer during the discovery process. The first question is, are you considering an EV? If the answer to the question is no, or if they're clearly biased against EVs for some reason, then there's no need to push, just pivot back to solar. If they say anything other than no, then ask them if you should include additional solar panels to power the EV. A light bulb should go off for the homeowner, as they understand that with solar they're essentially prepaying for cheap, clean fuel for their next car. Then ask how many miles per year they drive to determine how much additional solar capacity is needed. Remember, for an average EV, 1 additional kilowatt of solar is needed for about 5,500 miles of driving per year. This rule of thumb should be adjusted for larger EVs like pickup trucks or big SUVs, which use even more energy per mile. So what are the possible outcomes of having this conversation with a homeowner? 1, you sell them a larger PV system and an EV charger, earning you a larger commission and a greater chance for referrals. Or 2, they go solar but don't get an EV charger today, but they call you in the future for more panels and a charger. 3, they refer their friends to you because they know you're also an EV expert. And 4, maybe they don't bite on EV charging and extra solar today, but you can follow up with them in 12 months to see if they've reevaluated electric vehicles. As there's no downside to offering EV charging and extra solar, be sure to include them with all your proposals going forward.